Hey Mom, today we're bringing you to the old church in Llanfaglan. It's just down the road from Carnarvon, so we decided to come out and walk around the churchyard and maybe talk about it while we're here.
My mom loves Wales, and we've taken her there a lot, but she can't go anymore, so now we're bringing Wales to her.
The churchyard itself is circular on the north side.
It doesn't matter.
On one
circular
side.
on one side.
On one side, and was squared off on the other to make room for more graves. The circular churchyard tells you that the church is actually very old. Maybe this area predates the Christianity and was a sacred spot for a long time. There was a healing well in a nearby field associated with St. Baglan, for whom the church is named. St. Baglan is another saint from the age of saints.
The first time we came to Llanfaglan, Sarah and I, was in 2022 when we came here with you and Sal, Mom. And the last morning when we were leaving, Sarah and I got up early, and it was close enough that we could make a quick trip down here. And it was on the map of places we'd never been. And so we drove down here at sunrise, which is where you see a lot of this footage of the sun and the pink clouds, and the clouds were really blowing that day. We walked around the church and we came back to our place and then packed up and left.
The support group for it, and then we'll get a key. But that time we couldn't get in because it was not open.
That's right. But we've been back many times since then. Hard to believe it was only 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the back square part of the churchyard, clearly everything's in neat rows. They've plotted it out. But in the area right around the church, it's all helter-skelter.
This is a medieval gravestone dating to the 12th century, which they have built into the windowsill of this porch. It depicts a single-masted ship, as might have been seen in the waters near Carnarvon at that time, as well as a Celtic cross.
As Sarah pointed out, the stone along the bottom is an old medieval gravestone. But what we didn't know, and we shot you pointing that out, that the stone on top is also a gravestone. The top of the windowsill is also a gravestone with a Celtic cross engraved on it.
A little harder to see or to notice, especially with the plasterwork that sort of disguises that it's a former gravestone.
Yeah.
This is a second medieval gravestone at Llanfaglan's with a somewhat unusual design. Local legend has that a pirate was buried here, and that's why there's a skull and crossbones on the gravestone. But if it's medieval, they actually use that symbol to sort of signify death, among other things. And so it'd be cool if it were a pirate, but nobody knows who that is.
Yes, yes.
So this wing, the transept, I think it's called, and the chancel, which is where the altar is, were additions in the 1800s. The 1700s, so an 18th century addition. And you can imagine in the earliest versions of this were a very simple one room, one section structure.
Yeah.
Lord Snowdon is buried here.
Yes.
I think he's probably the most famous grave, at least for our era. The church is no longer used for regular worship. There are many new graves, so that if you are in this area, you can be buried at Llanfaglan.
Yes. They tend to be in the back square part of the churchyard, the newer graves, that is. And in the front part of the churchyard, the older graves are almost all, with a few exceptions, inscribed in Welsh, which is kind of cool. We should go look around and see if these newer graves
Are also in Welsh.
are also in Welsh or
Are we taking
or
bets as
English.
to if they are or are not? English and English. That's Welsh. A mix. And that's really what
A mix,
North
yeah.
Wales is as well, is a mix.
That's about 50-50.
The first time we came to Llanfaglan, the church was locked. Thanks to the work of Friends of Friendless Churches, today the church is open and we can come inside. The church itself, though founded in the 5th or 6th century, was rebuilt several times. The bulk of the church, the nave, dates to the 13th century. This is their thing. Llanfaglan has been a sacred site for more than 1,500 years. The presence of a holy well nearby filled in. Yeah, there was a refurbishment, and the Heritage Societies call this a sort of a terrific example of an 18th century church. And it's been pretty much untouched since then. Very often the Victorians would come along and change everything all around, and they did not actually touch Llanfaglan. Above my head is the lintel, which dates to the 5th or 6th century. It is called a pillar stone and is inscribed in Latin. Right, so it was a pillar that was set up outside that they incorporated, I assume in the 13th century remodel, into the fabric of the church. That lintel, the writing on it says in English, where Anna Temori, son of Laverny, was buried.
So it was a gravestone.
It was a gravestone. Some of the dates on the wooden boxes and so on say 17.
Here's a 1737.
Oh, so that's quite early.
So yeah, all of the boxes or even the benches you'll see are inscribed with initials and likely the family.
Right, so the boxes would be paid for essentially as part of the tithing for a family, a wealthier family, while the poorer folk would sit on the benches during
Although
the service.
these benches also have the same initials as that. So
maybe
these
they
have the
paid for it. Yeah, all the
IDM.
benches. Yeah,
These are IDM, but these ones back here are somebody else from 1737.
Yeah.
So it looks like, I mean, some of these aren't marked with initials, but many of them are.
And it could have just been who paid for the refurbishment as well.
It could be. In addition, you've got this really cool mortise and tenon roof structure. You can see the pins sticking out still, although they've been painted over. In addition, you can see the bier up against the back wall there. It looks like a ladder,
Yep.
which we've talked about before.
Pretty much every church we go to. It's missing its legs. 3 of the 4 legs are
Yes,
gone.
it's
But
not-
that's what they would have carried the coffin to the church or the burial
Yes.
using. Across the field, I can see them carrying it.
Yep. And there's you can ring the bell, actually.
Temptation is strong there too, but we won't do it.
A number of people have told us that they would bring their kids out here and let them ring the bell because you're out in the middle of nowhere.
And then the font, which is a medieval font as
Yes.
well, dating to the same period as the church itself.
Yeah.
This medieval baptismal font has 7 sides. According to the brochure, it's the only one in Wales. Though plain now, likely it was at one time decorated.
And as you said previously, before the Reformations, people who were buried here would have been dug up and their bones would have been
Right.
stored in a charnel house somewhere
Right.
on the property.
On the property. So then after the Reformation, when Henry VIII declared himself the head of the church, they stopped doing charnel houses, and because they were seen as too Catholic.
So I hope you have enjoyed the little visit we've been able to take you on.
Sorry.
Well, when I was 29 years old and clambering over the Rocky Mountains with you in a backpack, I would never have thought I would be doing this at age 75.
Yeah.
So tell me, are we going to climb anything that's more challenging than this?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, well, I guess we don't have to worry.